o kí lorúkọ rẹ̀ rédíò gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́. ẹ bá mi pè é o. ẹ bá mi pè é o kí lorúkọ rẹ̀ rédíò gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo àfínjú lórí WhatsApp Instagram Facebook lórí X lórí YouTube lórí TikTok kí lorúkọ rẹ̀ ẹ bá mi pè é o rédíò gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfínjú gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo àfínjú rédíò àfínjú rédíò àfínjú rédíò àfínjú.
maka akụkọ okwu gbasara ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị egwu ma ọ bụ ihe na-eme na Naịjirịa ma ọ bụ ihe na-eme na mba ofesi omenani mgbasa ozi ihe ndị a niile dị na redio Afinju. N'eziokwu redio Afinju bụ nke izizi na redio stations na Osun steeti. Redio Afinju bụ amaala n'ịgbasa ozi.
Life no get duplicate.
Na so ẹ̀mí ò láàárọ̀ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o. Make you take am easy.
Na so o.
Radio Afinju says if you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Make you take am easy.
Na so o.
This awareness is brought to you by Radio Afinju.
Stay informed with news on Radio Afinju.
The time is 7 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. and you're welcome to Radio Afinju. We are broadcasting live in Oshogbo, Osun State. My name is Tolulope Awoyale and you'll be with me for the program called Dailies, where we bring the newspaper making the waves in our national dailies, the story making the front pages of our national dailies to your hearing, so as you can be aware of what is going on around you. And if you're here to follow Radio Afinju on our social media platforms, kindly go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, all at Radio Afinju. And then without wasting much of our time, I am with the Punch newspaper this morning. I am with Nigerian Tribune, The Guardian newspaper, and also Vanguard newspaper. So I'm starting off strong with the Punch newspaper this morning. The banner headline here reads, Federal government unveils agri reforms and moves to create 21 million jobs. The rider under it says, fresh incentive will boost food production, free Nigerians from seasonal dependency, Shatima says. Another rider here says, AFAN and others endorse measures and seek timely interventions and women farmers tax federal government on loans and others. And that can be found on the page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Now moving to the top part of the Punch newspaper this morning says, Tinubu returns to Abuja after cutting short Paris leave. And that can be found on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. Nama pushes for tariff hike and airline kicks. That's on the page 22 of the Punch newspaper. Army arrests notorious IPOP commander in Imo State. And that is on the page 2 also of the Punch newspaper this morning. Now moving to the lower part of the Punch newspaper. Don't derail Awoyale selection. Cancel one's ruling houses. And that's on the page 7 of the Punch newspaper. 4 hospitalized as fire got 2 Lagos building. That's on the page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. And the last one I'll be picking on the Punch this morning says, Federal government predicts fresh flooding in Lagos and 13 others. That's on the page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And that will be all I'll be picking on the Punch this morning. Now moving on to the Nigerian Tribune. How Buhari's government destroyed economy, Dogara says. And that's on the page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. The writer under it says, Ex-President administration sprinting and injections of 22.7 trillion naira destroyed naira value. That is on the page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. To the top part of the Nigerian Tribune, Okpebolo unveils transformative education reforms in Edo State. You can find that on the page 16 of the Nigerian Tribune. And still on the Nigerian Tribune, Custom consult Finance Ministry on alternatives following suspension of 4% import levy. That's on the page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune. Upsurge in Lassa fever cases as death hits 162 in August, NCDC says. That's on the page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. UBA Foundation flags off 2025 National Essay Competition. That can be found on the page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. Petrol from Dangote Refinery arrives USA for first time, report says. That's on the page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. And now moving on to the health sector. Cannabis use may quadruple risk of developing diabetes, study says. And that's on the page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. And the last one I'll be picking here this morning says, CPPE urges policy mix to sustain inflation decline and boost growth. That's on the page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Now moving on to the Guardian newspaper, the banner headline here reads, Insider threat and low confidence hobble won $14 billion aviation target. That's on the page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Still on the Guardian newspaper, Obi decries normalization of violence as Kwara youth make distress call. And the news can be found on the page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. Federal government is insensitive to doctors' welfare. NMA reiterates. And that's on the page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Tinubu returns as Fubara set for reinstatement and Labour Party seeks emergency rule probe. that can be found on the page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And then lastly, crude output improves as Nigeria records first full pipeline availability in 20 years. That is on the page 28 of the Guardian newspaper. And that will be all I'll be bringing also on the Guardian newspaper this morning. Now, the last paper I'll be picking here is from Vanguard newspaper. The banner headline reads, Rivers, hopes and mixed views as emergency ends tomorrow. The rider under it says, IBES ask residents to nurture peace already built. Elders sues for unity. Fubara returning as a conquered man, CUPP says. Governance may suffer, says Okori. APGA's founding chairman says. PDP wants Fubara against defection, demands probe for interim rule. And the last rider says, Tinubu returns from vacation. And this all can be found on the page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. Still on the Vanguard newspaper, Lagos key to attaining Nigerians' global influence, Sanwo-Olu says. And that's on the page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Food security, federal government unveils new agric investment incentives. That's on the page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Nigerians, professors and gardeners 3-hour pay. XOAU Vice Chancellor Abimbola says. That's on the page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. And lastly, 2027 PDP throw doors open to all and validate Ashim's argument on zoning. And that's on the page 16 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And that will be all the news I'll be bringing to your hearing this morning. So do not go anywhere. When we come back from this short break, I'll bring you the news and story in details. right, you're welcome back, and this is still the Dailies, where we bring you the news making the waves in our national dailies to your hearings. And I am starting off strong with the Punch newspaper here, and the story that says federal government unveils agric reforms and moves to create 21 million jobs. The federal government on Tuesday rolled out a slew of new incentives to attract agricultural investment, which is said to create 21 million jobs in the country. It also pledged reforms to expand irrigation, improve access to credit, and create millions of rural jobs under the President Bola Tinubu's economic agenda. Vice President Kashim Shettima outlined the plans at the Food and Agriculture Organization's National Sub-Region Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum in Abuja, calling hunger the great equalizer that reveals our vulnerabilities and shared fragility of our existence. Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President on Media and Communications, Stanley Nkwocha, revealed details of Tuesday's meeting in a statement titled "More Incentive Farmers as Federal Government Unveils New Agric Investment Incentives." The measures include single-window platforms for land registration, strengthened agricultural credit systems, large-scale mechanization, and strategic irrigation project. Tuesday's unveiling comes as the rising food prices and climate shocks have intensified calls for long-term investment in the sector. Nigeria has been under pressure to cut its reliance on import and address food insecurity, which worsened after full subsidy removal and currency reforms deepened inflation in 2023. Shettima said Nigeria has the capacity to irrigate more than 3 million hectares of farmland, but currently uses less than 10% of that potential. Strategic investment in irrigation alone can triple yields, free us from seasonal dependency, and fortify our resilience against climate shocks, he stated. Nothing unifies humanity as much as hunger, and it is also a great equalizer that reveals our vulnerabilities and the shared fragility of our existence. Food is not merely a matter of survival. It is a matter of global security, Shettima added. The Vice President noted that Nigeria's blueprint under the 2021 and 2025 National Development Plan aims to lift 35 million people out of poverty, create 21 million jobs in rural communities, and secure food and nutrition sufficiency. Shettima specifically observed the irrigation is a game changer, noting that Nigeria has river basins and aquifers capable of irrigating over 3 million hectares, but currently uses less than 10% of the land. Strategic investment in irrigation alone can triple yields and free us from seasonal dependency and fortify our resilience against climate shocks, he said. And he also assured investors that regulatory reforms, public and private partnership, and agri-tech innovation would make Nigeria open for business. The news is well detailed on the Punch newspaper this morning on the page 2 of the Punch newspaper. You want to read more on it, and the headline says federal government unveils agric reforms and moves to create 21 million jobs. Still on the Punch newspaper, I'm picking this other story here that says NAMA pushes for tariff hike and airline kicks. The Director General of the Nigerian Air Space Management Agency, Farouk Umar, has declared that the current charge of 11,000 naira per flight imposed on airline operators is no longer sustainable, given prevailing economic realities and the rising cost of maintaining aviation infrastructure. Umar made this known in Abuja while addressing stakeholders at a summit organized by the House of Representatives Committee on Aviation. The event focused on the theme Emerging Trends in Global Aviation, Sustainability, Technology, and Digital Transformation. Umar explained that the 11,000 naira fee, which was remained unchanged since 2008, is charged per flight rather than per passenger. He cited an example of Lagos to Abuja flights where airlines pay only 11,000 naira to NAMA regardless of number of passengers carried. In 2008, NAMA was collecting 11,000 naira per flight. From then till now, airfares have risen significantly, with economy tickets now ranging between 150,000 naira to 200,000 naira, and yet we are still charging the same 11,000 naira, Umar said. He also stressed that the agency is a cost recovery organization and not a charity, and must also recoup the money invested in procuring and upgrading critical aviation infrastructure, including landing, surveillance, and communication systems. NAMA has invested heavily in the state-of-art facilities to ensure safety in Nigerian airspace, and these included upgrading instrument landing system, modern radar surveillance technologies, and enhanced communication systems that align with Nigeria's aviation sector with global safety standards. Umar warned that the cost of procuring, installing, and maintaining these facilities has grown exponentially due to inflation, exchange rate pressures, and global supply chain disruptions. We make modernizing to ensure Nigeria is not left behind in global aviation development. Yet these airlines are still paying us peanuts. The world needs to know, and the airlines need to face the reality. We cannot continue this way. According to Umar, NAMA has made several attempts to engage airlines on the need for a fee review, but operators have resisted the idea. He urged that the resistance is unfair, especially as airlines frequently increase ticket fares to reflect rising operational costs. The news is well detailed also on the Punch newspaper on page 22. You want to read more on it. It says, NAMA pushes for tariff hike and airline kicks. Still on the Punch newspaper, Tinubu returns to Abuja after cutting short Paris leave. President Bola Tinubu has returned to Abuja on Tuesday evening after cutting short what was initially scheduled as a 10-day leave to Paris and London. The Airbus A330 conveying the president's touchdown at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja at 6:50 p.m. local time. Tinubu, who departed Nigeria on September 4th, has been expected to remain in Europe until later this week. No official reason was given for the decision to curtail the trip, and the president's return comes as a 6-month emergency rule in the oil-rich Rivers State elapses this Thursday. Tinubu recall that he has made 15 foreign trips since January 2025 and often combining official meetings with periods of rest. His last no-holiday trip was in April, where he spent about 14 working days in Paris and London. Still on the Punch newspaper, and this will be my last story here, says CBN reaffirms commitment to economic stability. The Central Bank of Nigeria has reaffirmed its commitment to stimulating productivity, deepening financial inclusion, and ensuring monetary and price stability as part of its effort to strengthen the nation's economy. The CBN Governor, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, gave the assurance while declaring open the 2025 CBN Fair at the Minette Event Center in Kano State. Represented by the Acting Director of Corporate Communication, Hakama Ali noted that the fair was designed as a platform for direct engagement with public on the bank's policies for sustainable economic growth and national development. The core objective of this engagement, therefore, is to sensitize members of the public on how the bank policies enhance their lives and livelihood to contribute to the growth and development of Nigerian economy, he said. He noted that within the last 2 years, the bank has introduced several key policies to strengthen financial system, including exchange rate unification to minimize arbitrage opportunities and reduce volatility and in the foreign exchange market. The CBN governor said other policies include bank recapitalization to strengthen the resilience and global competitiveness of the banking sector, positioning it to support the $1 trillion economy, in addition to launching the non-resident BVN to connect Nigerians abroad with home banking. The news is also well detailed on the Punch newspaper this morning. It says CBN reaffirms commitment to economic stability. All right, now moving into the Tribune newspaper this morning, and my first story will be picking here says, how Buhari government destroyed economy, Dogara says, and that's on the page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. But we'll go on a short break now, and then when we come back, we'll continue the story.
For the best music,
show me capital business, show me character dickness,
seasoned sport presentation,
round 10 begins. If they complete this round,
balanced and objective news reportage, and all-round entertainment. Listen to the jewel of the pack of radios in this class. Tune in to Radio Afinju right here in Oshobo, Osun State.
Life no get duplicate.
Na so, èmi ò láàárọ̀ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o. Make you take am easy.
Na so.
Radio Afinju says if you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Make you take am easy.
Na so.
This awareness is brought to you by Radio Afinju.
For up-to-date tori wey no get filter.
Politics matter.
Sport.
ya lo hace, pierna derecha, directo al arco, golazo, golazo.
Culture. Naija and obodo oyibo music. Advertisement wey go reach your customer home and abroad.
This is incredible.
Na on top Radio Afinju you go hear am.
You can't be serious.
Na so. Radio Afinju be baba for all radio stations wey dey Osogbo, Osun State. Radio Afinju na better level for broadcasting.
Alrighty then.
Na my hustle be this. Na here I dey see my daily urgent 2k o. Ìhàyín ni mo ti ń rí ẹgbẹ̀rún méjì náírà pàjáwìrì tèmi lójoojúmọ́. On this program, we will bring people from different business backgrounds to come tell their stories and share insights with us. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́, oníṣòwò, ẹ gbáradì. Ètò ti kàn yín ní rédíò Àfínjú. Bó o lẹ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀, kí ni àwọn tójú yín rí, kí lẹ̀ ń tà gangan, bó o lẹ sì ti ń tà. My hustle will give you a direct insight into the business world. Join Aderonke Lawal, Ayoka Ọmọ Àkànmú on my hustle every Wednesday 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Radio Àfínjú to have your minds blown. Ẹ lè tẹ̀lé wa lórí gbogbo ìkànnì abánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ wa pátápátá ní Radio Àfínjú. My hustle, my urgent 2k.
ẹ̀yin tó mọ ìgbádùn tó kí fọ́fọ́ mìrìn gidi kí gbẹ̀ngbẹ̀ ẹ máa bọ̀ láríyá Àfínjú. Àríyá Àfínjú lẹ́ẹ̀tì máa jẹ̀gbálálà àwọn ògbóǹtarìgì pédépédé tí wọn yóò máa fi ẹ̀fẹ̀ dàìlúùtì àwọn orin fújì, àwúrèbe, àpàlà, jùjú àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ fún ìgbádùn yín. Àríyá Àfínjú ẹ má míìsì ẹ̀ nítorí pé live and direct gangan ni ó máa jẹ́ lórí àwọn àti ayélujára wa bíi Facebook àti YouTube. Àríyá Àfínjú ló wà fún ìgbádùn rẹ̀.
Ìpèníjà pọ̀ láwùjọ, aráàlú ń pàráàrò, wọ́n ń fojú sọ́nà fún ìdàgbàsókè. Bẹ́ẹ̀ olóṣèlú náà ń pé adìyẹ ń làágùn, ìyẹ́ ni ò jẹ́ àrí. Ó wá di dandan ká mójú ajé kò ní sọ, ká ṣàkójọ àwọn ìpèníjà tí ń bẹ láwùjọ, ká tẹ́ pẹpẹ rẹ̀ fáwọn adarí ìjọba kí wọ́n sì sọ ìgbésẹ̀ tí wọ́n ń gbé láti wá ojútùú sí wọn. Èyí ló bí ètò Gbàgede Ọ̀rọ̀ lórí rédíò Àfínjú. Gbàgede Ọ̀rọ̀ ni ó máa ṣe ìfọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀ láàrin ará ìlú àtàwọn adarí ìjọba. Lórí ètò yìí a ó máa ṣàtúpalẹ̀ àwọn ìpèníjà àwùjọ, bẹ́ẹ̀ la sì máa fọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn ìkàn ìjọba tọ́rọ̀ kàn láti lè mú ìtẹ̀síwájú bá àwùjọ wa. Adédayọ̀ Dẹ́rínú, ọmọ wọn lẹ́sẹ̀ kòjọ́mọ́ ó nù, ni ó máa tọ́kùn ètò. Ẹ lè wo rédíò Àfínjú lórí àwọn àtẹ ayélujára Facebook àti YouTube. Bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ sì lè gbọ́ wa lórí Radio Garden. Rédíò Àfínjú, ìlànà ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ tí ò lábàwọ́n. Gbàgede Ọ̀rọ̀, ètò tó ń yànnàná ohun tó rújú láàrin ará ìlú àtijọba. Kò ṣeé má gbọ́ ni ẹ gbà bẹ́ẹ̀.
Gbàgede Ọ̀rọ̀.
You're welcome from that short break, and this is still the Dailies, where we bring you the news making the waves in our national dailies and the front pages to your hearings. Now, still on the Nigerian Tribune, moving on to the Nigerian Tribune now, picking this first story here that says, Governor Otu appoints new Cross River head of service. Cross River State Governor Basi Otu has approved the appointment of Orok Basi Okon as the new head of State Civil Service. The appointment of the new Cross River head of service, which takes effect from September 19, 2025, follows the retirement of Dr. Innocent Ebri Eteng, who bowed out after what he described as the meritorious career marked by dedication and excellence. In a statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary and Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Linus Obogo, Governor Otu urged the new head of service to bring vision, integrity, and reform-driven zeal to the role. He said Okon's leadership is expected to foster efficiency, professionalism, and accountability in the state public service, adding that the choice reflects his administration's commitment to strengthening governance structure for effective service delivery. Eteng, the outgoing head of service, was loaded with distinguished contributions to the state civil service. And the news is also well detailed on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Says Governor Otu appoints a new state civil service. Now still on the Nigerian Tribune, how Buhari's administration destroyed Nigeria's economy, Dogara says. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, who is currently the chairman of National Credit Guarantee Company, Yakubu Dogara, has stated the administration of the late President Muhammadu Buhari destroyed the nation's economy with the injection of 22.7 trillion naira ways and means. Dogara spoke in Abuja during the maiden parliamentary lecture with the title Navigating Tax Reforms in Nigeria, Insight on President Bola Tinubu's Policies, organized by the House of Representatives Press Corps, lamented that some foreign loans procured in order to help strengthen the naira could also be sustained by what he called a voodoo economics. While describing the present administration's economic reforms as the lifeblood of our national aspirations, the fall for our infrastructure and education, our healthcare and our security, Dogara expressed excitement over the revolutionary reform proposal initiated by Tinubu's economic team, which led ultimately to restructuring of law, norms and institutions with a view to create a more just and equitable society. He said by the time the President Tinubu took office, the economic debris of nation has become too conspicuous to be ignored. 22.7 trillion naira has been printed and injected into the economy in name of ways and means, thereby destroying the value of naira in our pockets. The news is also well detailed on the Nigerian Tribune. You want to read more on it. It says how Buhari's administration destroyed Nigeria's economy. Still on the Nigerian Tribune, and this will be my last story on the Nigerian Tribune this morning, says Edo governor unveils transformative education reforms. Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpebholo has unveiled a comprehensive and transformative roadmap for education, reflecting the administration's commitments to providing every child access to quality, future-ready learning opportunities. Governor Okpebholo's education reforms are spearheaded by the Commissioner for Education, Padi Iyamu, who said the reform agenda is a deliberate and holistic strategy designed to reposition education as the foundation of Edo long-term development. The administration of Governor Monday Okpebholo is addressing decades of decay across the education sector with unprecedented reforms. Dilapidated schools are being rebuilt into modern learning centers equipped with STEM laboratories, functional classrooms, sanitation facilities, and teaching aids. Through the Edu Rescue Initiative, Children previously out of school are being reintegrated with free books and learning materials provided to ensure inclusivity and equity. Central to this transformation is the recognition that teachers are the drivers of educational excellence. According to the government, who has prioritized recruitment, continuous training, and digital empowerment for teachers, with tablets and standardized lesson script now in their hands, educators across the state are now delivering uniform and high-quality instruction. And this is also on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Says Edo governor unveils transformative education reforms. Now moving on to the Vanguard newspaper, I'm picking the first story here on Vanguard that says Rivers State hopes and mixed views as emergency ends tomorrow. One day to the end of the emergency rule in Rivers State, the polity is awash with expectation. Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, and the members of the State House of Assembly, led by Speaker Martins Amawule, are expected to return to their seats tomorrow if President Bola Tinubu, who caught his 10-day vacation abroad to return to Nigeria yesterday, did not extend the rule. So far, all appears to be set for termination of the emergency rule and in reinstatement of elected officials. Rivers State sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, who tidied his handover note and held a church Thanksgiving last Sunday, has called on the people of the state to nurture the existing peace built by his administration in the last 6 months. Speaking at a public lecture entitled Good Governance and Democratic Dividends, Ibas said yesterday that the Thanksgiving last Sunday was significant. They reminded the people that without God and the resilience of the people, this journey of this administration would have been impossible. He also added that as a nation, our democracy must deliver the governance and must always be rooted in service. Standing before you, we feel gratitude and humility for the support for giving the administrator and humility to what he called the service in such a defining moment in the history of the great state. According to him, the emergency rule was never a choice. It was a necessity brought upon by insecurity, political impasse, and breakdown of trust. Yet, in hindsight, it has offered enduring lessons, and peace is also priceless without security. Another aspiration is possible that when the governance is weakened, opportunism fills the vacuum, enduring lives and livelihood, as the indomitable spirit of Rivers people cannot be broken. They endured, they persevered, and have remained steadfast. The news is also well detailed on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. You want to read more on it? It says Rivers hopes and mixed views as emergency holds tomorrow. Moving on to my last story for this morning on the Vanguard newspaper. Gunmen killed 22 people during baptism ceremony in Niger State. Gunmen on motorbikes shot 22 villagers dead in western Niger, most attending the baptism ceremony, local media and other sources said. The shooting happened on Monday in Tilaberi region near Burkina Faso and Mali, where Judaist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State group are active. A resident of the area told the reporters that 15 people were killed first at the baptism ceremony at Takubat village. The attackers went to the outskirts of Takubat where they killed 7 other people, said the resident, who requested for anonymity for security reasons. Reporters also reported that gruesome death toll of 22 innocent people cowardly killed without reasons or justification. Once again, the Tilaberi region has been struck with barbarism, plunging innocent families into mourning and despair, Nigerian human rights campaigners Maluki said on social media. Niger's military leaders who came into power 2 years ago in a coup have struggled to contain Judai's group in Tilaberi despite maintaining a large army presence there. Around 20 soldiers were killed in the region last week, and Human Rights Watch has urged Niger authorities to do more to protect civilians against deadly attacks. And the Right Monitoring Group estimates the Islamic State has summarily executed more than 127 villagers and Muslim worshippers in the Tilaberi in 5 attacks since March. The news is also well detailed on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. It says gunmen killed 22 people during baptism ceremony in Niger State. And that will be all the news I'll be bringing to your hearing this morning. I hope you're well informed about the stories I brought to you today. And make sure you also join us tomorrow again for the dailies by 9 a.m. here on Radio Afinju. And do not forget to follow us on our social media platforms at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, all at Radio Afinju. You can also listen to us on our website, and you listen to us crystal clear at www.afinjufm.com. My name remains Tolulope Awoyale. Till I come your way again next week Wednesday. Have a wonderful week.